She refused to call me by my pronouns. Not out of confusion. Out of choice. But that was before the day I dragged her bleeding body out of a burning elevator. Now she says my name like it matters. Because it does. It always did. I always knew she didn't respect me. Not because she said it, but because of the way she paused when reading my name aloud in meetings. The way her mouth would hesitate before skipping past the they in sentences that should have included me. The way she'd say, "Good job, kid," instead of using my name. At first, I told myself it didn't matter. That I was there to do a job, not teach anyone manners. But when you spend 40 hours a week somewhere and your humanity gets ignored like background noise, it starts to echo inside you. Her name was Victoria LeClaire. Executive. Sharp suits. Sharper tongue. Feared. Admired. Unbothered. She ran our department like a war room, and if you couldn't keep up, you were left behind. She wasn't the type to say thank you, let alone reflect on your identity. She'd once called a trans coworker by their dead name in front of the whole office and brushed it off with a "my bad," like a stubbed toe. So when I introduced myself during my onboarding, saying, "Hi, I'm Jamie," I used they/them pronouns. She blinked, nodded once, and moved on. I told myself it was enough. At least she didn't argue. But silence, I would learn, is just another kind of rejection. 3 months in, I stopped correcting people. Even the ones who meant well. It felt like screaming into a vacuum. My work was solid. Tight reports, great presentations, a quiet consistency. I knew I wasn't flashy, but I was good. Still, recognition stayed out of reach. Victoria would praise teammates, even interns, before she'd ever let her eyes land on me with approval. The day things changed started ordinary. Rain fell like nails on the city. The office buzzed with low chatter and the smell of burnt coffee. I had stayed late, working on a compliance file that Victoria needed by morning. Most of the team had already left. At 7:42 p.m., the power flickered once, then everything went black. A half-beat of silence. Then chaos. Somewhere upstairs, a boom. Alarms screamed. Smoke, thick, chemical, bitter, crept into the hallway like a living thing. Fire. Emergency lights blinked on, casting everything in red. My heart kicked into gear. I grabbed my phone, but there was no service. I ran for the stairs, but then I heard something. A thud. Muffled, like a body hitting metal. It came from the service elevator. I hesitated. And then I heard it barely, someone calling for help. The elevator was stuck between floors, doors slightly jammed but not shut. Smoke was pouring in from above. And inside, slumped against the wall, was Victoria. I don't remember thinking, I just moved. I wedged the doors open with a metal trash bin, forced myself inside. The heat was unbearable. Victoria's leg was pinned under a broken panel, and blood seeped through her trousers. Her eyes fluttered open. She saw me. "You," she croaked, blinking against the smoke. "I'm getting you out," I said. "You can't leave me. Get out." "Shut up," I said, my voice shaking. "You're not dying on my watch." I pulled, and she screamed. The metal gave way just enough to free her. She collapsed against me. Step by agonizing step, I dragged her out down the hall into the stairwell. The last flight felt endless. My lungs burned. My legs shook. I kept her upright as she moaned in pain, muttering things I couldn't understand. But when we finally burst into the cold night, the paramedics rushing toward us, she looked up at me, blood-streaked, dazed, and whispered, "Jamie." I nodded, breathless. She stared at me like I was a stranger she finally saw clearly. And for the first time, she said, "Thank you. Thank you, Jamie." She didn't come back to the office for 6 weeks. When she did, I was at my desk, typing, headphones in. I saw her reflection in the glass before I heard her voice. "Jamie," she said. I turned slowly. "I need you in the conference room. We're presenting your report. You'll take lead." I blinked. "Me?" She gave a half smile. "You've earned it." I followed her in, stunned. That would have been enough for me. Truly. But then, in front of the entire team, she introduced me like this. "This is Jamie. They've done incredible work on this, and they'll be walking us through the findings." They. I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. But something inside me exhaled, like I'd been holding my breath for months. From that day on, she never got it wrong again. Not once. No awkward pauses. No sidestepping. No vague nicknames. Just Jamie. Just they. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it should have always been. But sometimes, people only see your truth when it shows up in the fire with its hands outstretched, dragging them to safety. I didn't save her to be seen. But I was. And it changed everything. I'm not saying it's fair, that someone has to risk their life for a basic dignity others get for free. But I will say this. Once she saw me bleed and burn and shake and still choose to help her, she realized I was more than her assumptions. I was real. She started defending me in meetings, correcting others who slipped, lifting my name when no one else would. And one day, I heard her talking to a new intern. "That's Jamie," she said, gesturing toward me. "They're the reason I'm standing here today. They're also the reason this department still has structure." Then she turned and looked me dead in the eye. And added, "And they're not to be underestimated." It still makes me ache, how respect had to be earned through suffering. But I also know what I'm worth now. I know that I'm not invisible. Not because of a title. Not because of fire. But because I stood tall when it mattered most. So yeah, now she says my name right. Not because she finally learned, but because she finally listened. And maybe that's the real beginning.